Well, welcome back, everyone, to another episode of College Hockey Talk. On today's podcast, we are bringing back a very familiar face, Emily Oosterveld from the Merrimack women's hockey team. Emily is just finishing off another great season in college hockey. So, Emily, thank you so much for coming back on the podcast. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me back.
Now, you've accomplished a lot in your hockey career, but College Hockey Talk most featured guest has to be up there, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yeah, for sure. That's that might be number one for me.
It's so hard to make it to D1 college hockey, but to get 3 appearances on College Hockey Talk is even tougher in my opinion. So
yeah, that's a once in a lifetime opportunity right there.
awesome. Well, obviously I'm being a little sarcastic there, but obviously last time we talked was in like January. So how are things going with you since we've last talked? With weights and all that stuff, and what have you been up to, I guess, since the season ended?
Yeah, things have been really good. We had about 3 weeks out, 3 weeks off from the gym. So our team just spent a lot of time together, just kind of thinking back on the season and all the funny stuff that's happened. And honestly, we spent, I think, every single day together for 3 weeks. We all went our separate ways for spring break, and then we came back. We were back in the gym. We just recently got back on the ice and started actually lifting heavy in the gym and stuff. So things have been really good. I've just been grinding out school. I'm close to the home stretch here for summer break. So yeah.
That's good. That's good. I guess, like, what are your things that your team's working on for next year that, like, what's like the main emphasis, I guess, for your team heading into next year?
One thing that our coaches talk about a lot right now is details. So we're doing like a ton of, I guess you could say, like minor tweaks in like technique almost. Like we've been doing a lot of shooting, a lot of stick handling, and then at the end of the session, of like after working on those things, we incorporate everything into like a mini game within our team. But our biggest emphasis right now is just details and just cleaning up little things, like working on cleaning up systems and cleaning up mechanics. So looking good for next year.
That's awesome. And what are your goals for next year personally?
Uh, my goals for next year. Um, that's I haven't actually thought about that really. I think my goals for next year is just being a little bit more consistent. I think I would have a good couple weeks and a good couple stretches of being very consistent and playing true to my game every single game in practice, day in and day out. And obviously, there's a lot of ups and downs throughout the season and throughout the school year, and a lot of different obstacles to overcome. And I think sometimes I would let that get the best of me, and I would, wouldn't have a couple good strings of practices, and then I kind of would take that into my games, and I would still play well, but I wouldn't play up to my own standards. So I think that's one of my big things for next year is just, and also paying attention to what the coaches are saying, like details. And so I think maybe being a little bit more consistent next year would be something that I'm looking to do for next season.
Now, have you had the chance to meet any of your new like players for next year? Like, have the freshmen come down? And if so, like, what are your thoughts on some of the new players? If you've had the chance to meet them or see them, or do you know any of them? To be honest with me.
um, I actually don't know any of them. So it's all going to be familiar faces when I come back in the fall. They haven't come in yet. I think our coaches are trying to get them approved to come in this summer and start working and training with our strength and conditioning guy and our coaches, just to have them ready and kind of give them a bit of a head start on our systems and the way that we play and stuff. So they're not just thrown in the first week of practices, like, all right, here's the systems. Um, but no, I've only heard good things from my coaches. He thinks it's going to be a really good, strong freshman class. We got another goalie coming in, so Gorski doesn't have to play every single game this year. But yeah, no, I think it's going to be a good freshman class. Really excited to meet them all. So yeah.
Yeah, it should be fun. And obviously, because even though you're bringing in a great freshman class for next year, you're obviously going to be losing some key players. How much are you going to miss players like Courtney Maude on the team? And I guess, like, how are you going to try to replace what they brought to the team? I know you can't replace it, but like, how do you try to
Yeah.
fill in those roles, I guess, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, first things first, I'm going to miss Maud, and I'm going to miss all of them so much. Gabby, Jules, Kiki, Laska, all of them. Like, they were a huge part to our team. Two of them are captains. Like, I'm going to miss them so much. But thankfully, two of them live in Mass, so they said that they'll come by and say
They
hi
have
here.
to come by if you live in Mass.
Exactly. But no, I think what our freshmen bring to the table. Like we have a couple, I think we have two, I think we have two defense coming in. I haven't been fully staying up to date on freshmen and what positions they are quite yet. But I believe we have two defense coming in, and they're big, strong girls, which is nice. We'll have a nice, strong decor. Um, and, they're all very skilled players. They all come from their respective teams and programs, but I think that they'll have a big impact on our team. As well as our coaches are looking to get a couple transfers. So bringing some older girls in again, with, experience and maturity and all that stuff. And they've been through it. Like they're in college hockey. So it's not something new to them. So I think that'll definitely help as well if we do end up getting transfers. But I think that'll definitely help our team out. And yeah.
Yeah, the transfer portal seems like it's filling up more this year than it was last year. Just to me, it feels like that. I don't know if you're a transfer, so you kind of know the behind the scenes of what it's like.
Yeah, being in the transfer portal is a very, very stressful time. But yeah, I haven't been hearing too much about the portal just because, I can't see it and I'm kind of just focusing on myself right now. But I know there's been a couple times my coaches have called me just to kind of ask me to talk to a couple potential transfers just because I've been there, right? Like been there, done that. I
Hmm.
have a very honest opinion on everything. So yeah, I haven't been like not a lot of my friends are in the portal, which is good. Stay at your schools. But yeah,
Hmm.
yeah.
And obviously, you're going to be a junior next year, which is pretty crazy to think about. So, have you thought about like the type of leadership you want to bring to the team because you have 2 years of college hockey under your belt, and you'll be one of the more like I guess seasoned players since you've played a lot more games than some of the freshmen and sophomores coming in.
Yeah, I think honestly, I wouldn't, I mean, this year, like, I definitely by no means was like a crazy huge leader. Like, I would say things here and there. I think for the most part, going into next year, I'm just gonna stay true to what I've been doing, and I'm just like I'm the rowdy one. Like, I'm in the locker room, I'm getting people amped up all the time. Like, I honestly sometimes feel like I never run out of energy on game days and practice days. So that's one thing that I'm definitely going to bring it in next year. Like there's been a couple times this year too, our team's down or the energy in the room is off and I'm just like up, I'm getting people up, I'm running around, I'm, yelling, I'm singing, I'm dancing. Like I just have a lot of energy and I think I carry that mentality, within our team and I take it on the ice and I take it in during games and on the bench and I try to keep everybody, as high energy as they can be. So I think that's something that I'm definitely going to bring into next year just to keep everybody riled up.
That's awesome. And
Yeah.
just one more question about next season. Do you have any idea who you're going to play for your non-conference schedule? Has that been set? And if it has been set, can you please review some opponents that we might not know about?
Yeah. I actually haven't heard anything yet. I know the coaches
Okay.
are trying to figure it out. I think that they're a little preoccupied right now with scouting. Like my coaches are gone pretty much every other week. Um, Actually, they're gone every week. It just depends on what coach is gone. So I think they're finalizing recruiting and transfers and stuff before we start figuring that out. Our whole team has been wondering as well, and we've been kind of making some guesses here and there. We're thinking we might go to Mankato because
Oh,
Mankato came
wow.
to us, um, but we have no idea
Do you think
at
you
all.
go to LeBron because Wisconsin came to your team? I don't know if like you have to look at the previous 3 seasons too, because sometimes those agreements were made 4 years ago. But like I
No,
completely forgot about
exactly.
that.
That's why I'm not sure because I know the year before, like so my freshman year when I was at Clarkson, I know Merrimack was supposed to go to Mankato, but then COVID, so it never ended up actually happening. So
Yeah.
I don't know what deal the coaches made with each other. So
Hmm.
who knows?
Who knows? Well, I guess we'll find out sometime in the
Yeah,
summer.
yeah,
Just because for me personally, I like to see some of these Midwest schools come out east because it's the only time you get to see them play in person. So it's
yeah,
partly a
exactly.
little selfish on my part because I kind of want to see what schools are going to come out here.
Yeah, yeah, I'm sure it'll come out sooner than later.
It'll be sometime during the summer where I'm not thinking about it and just boom,
Yeah,
it's there. That's usually what happens. So
yeah, exactly.
Now, I do want to ask you a few questions about this season because one of the biggest things that happened this season for your team was your team got your very first Hockey East playoff win against New Hampshire on the road. I said it was going to happen. I didn't say it on the podcast, I don't think, but I did say it was going to happen. So I want to pat myself on the back for that. But being on the team, how good did that feel to get a win against New Hampshire on the road? And it seemed like your team just had a complete 60-minute effort. Like it didn't feel like watching that game that there was like a point where you felt like Merrimack was going to lose that game.
No, exactly. I think that was that was probably the highlight of our season right there. Like that was just an amazing feeling, like especially as, a new kid here and knowing like just winning that game because again, we are such a new program. Like we literally just made program history. And that like just knowing that I was a part of the team that did it, like it was like an overwhelming feeling of joy. You should have seen us like in the locker room after. It was probably the happiest we've ever been. Our coaches were so happy. Like, not to mention, it felt even better to win that game because my head coach, Erin Hamlin, she used to play for UNH. And in all of her years coaching for Merrimack, she has never beaten UNH at the Witt Center
Oh,
ever.
wow.
So if you're gonna beat them at the Witt Center, I guess that's the way to do it in first round playoffs. So it felt amazing getting that win, not just for us, but for Erin as well, because that's a big deal. Like she used to play there. So it was it was awesome. And I know in between periods, like again, the energy was up. The energy never dipped, never nothing. Our team was together as one that entire game. And our coaches would come in between periods and they didn't really have much to point out. Like, hey, we should do this or we got to do this. Like it was always like, just keep doing what you're doing. Like you guys are doing great. You're playing a full game right now. Our systems are great. And it was something clicked that game. And that was an amazing feeling to come out with a win. So
Can you give us a little behind the scenes of what it was like in the locker room after the game?
yeah, after the game, we came running into the locker room. I don't think anybody really sat down. We all just kind of ran into the middle of the room. We played our win song and we all just danced around and screamed and sang. And then our coaches came in and they were a little emotional. And we all just grabbed Erin and like threw her in the pile and we all just started hugging her and yelling. And yeah, it was amazing. It was like one big family kind of. It was like a moment where all of the hard work that we had put in this year, it all came down to that one game. And none of us on our team, I remember going into to practice that week, none of us wanted our season to be done. We were like, we are not ready for this season to be done. We have it in us. We can beat these teams. Like, and it was like that moment of realization of all of, you go through hard times, you go through rough patches, you go through losing streaks, you go through it all. And it was that moment of like, it was all worth it and it all paid off in the end. And we just made it through first round playoffs. So
Yeah. Well, for me, it seemed like it started like earlier than that weekend series or the final weekend series against Holy Cross where you swept that team. It just
yeah,
felt like you guys got two really good clutch wins because Holy Cross played your team very well.
yeah, they did.
So talk about that weekend series and what you took away from it heading into the postseason, especially the game at Holy Cross because I love the assist that you gave for that overtime winner. I thought that was pretty sick.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing we took away from that team, that weekend series was it doesn't matter who you're playing or where they're ranked or what their season stats have been, is to never take anybody lightly. And I think we did that a bit in the second game. And it was hard because it was a bit of a change for us. I believe that was the first game Holy Cross was allowed to have fans in the building. And so their whole half of the rink was packed and it was so loud. And it's like, you're not used to that, right? Because normally, like, yeah, I mean, realistically, just the world we live in, women's hockey doesn't get as near as many, college hockey fans as men do. And that's just a reality that you deal with, you live with. Um, and even when fans do come to women's games, normally they're in a larger rink. So you can't really hear anything. It was all of a sudden, I remember going on the ice and it was like the second period and I looked up and I was like, oh my God, like there was so many people and it was so loud. And every time that, we would do something bad, like the whole crowd would go crazy. Like, and it was so weird. And I think that threw our team off a lot. But we knew how important these games were because we knew we were going into playoffs, and we knew that if we went into playoffs with a sweep, our confidence would be a lot higher than normal and whatnot. So it was so stressful going into that overtime. It was our last regular season game, and it was just, oh my God. We went into 3-on-3, and I remember I just didn't feel myself that game. I just felt very like claustrophobic. I felt everywhere that I went, the puck was bouncing, the ice felt weird. Like it was just a weird game for me. And I remember the first set of girls went out for 3-on-3, and I looked over at my teammate and I go, I almost hope Erin doesn't put me on the ice for this because I'm like really nervous right now. I don't feel like myself. Right as I'm saying that, Erin goes, right, Ooster, you're out next. I was like, oh my God. I was like praying on the bench. I was like, you're fine. Everything's fine. Just calm down. All worked out in the end. I
Mm-hmm.
remember I remember the puck went down, and Tegan got it, and I was back checking. I was looking to pick up my player, and Tegan got the puck. I was like, okay, go. Like, head up ice. And I got the puck, and I was like, okay, don't mess this up because we're in overtime. And I remember skating down the left wing, and I saw the defense right there. And Jules, I don't know where Jules got that speed from. She just kicked it in high gear out of nowhere, like totally got away from her player. I look over right as the defense is about to step up. I'm like, Jules, take this puck, pass it to Jules. That was her first ever college hockey goal in her last ever college
Oh, that's
game.
awesome.
And she scored, and you can't really see it on film, but we both just looked at each other like, oh my God. And our coaches were crying, and yeah, that was a crazy emotional game. That was a nice bus ride home though. So
That must have been nice though to silence that crowd that was against you. That's like
yep.
one of the better feelings. Like I feel like a lot of people talk about like when they go like one of the things they love about college hockey is when they score a big goal in front of their home crowd and just how the
Mhm.
fans go crazy. But I feel like an
Yeah.
opposite feeling is when you score a big game goal on the road when all the fans are rooting against you. I think that's a kind of an underrated feeling that not many hockey players talk about. At least I've never
Yeah.
had that experience, but I'd love to.
Yeah. It was awesome, and it was nice too because since it was our last weekend of regular season, a bunch of the parents had come,
Hmm.
and then actually a couple of the football guys from our school had actually come to Holy Cross as well to watch.
That's
So
cool.
yeah, it was nice. We celebrated right on obviously our side. So, but no, it was unreal.
Now, I do have to ask you because I felt like one thing that I noticed by your team was your team had some struggles closing out games. I think a big example of it was against BC, where your team had the lead and then BC found a way to win that game. Then, obviously, you played Northeastern very well. It was just hard for your team to find goals in that playoff game and in the game at Merrimack in the regular season. So, I guess,
Yeah.
what does your team think about those games and how are you going to use those games for next year to kind of close out and get on top and get those wins instead of being on the other end of a comeback?
Yeah, the BC game definitely stung. We were playing so well. Um, and we got three fast ones on them. And then, they're a very, very skilled team. They're a very good team. Um, and it was definitely tough. Like as soon as they called that timeout, I was like, crap. Like I kind of knew. I was like, their coach is definitely amping them up right now. And like our coach was like, just stay true to you. Like you guys are doing well. It's definitely frustrating, and it definitely stings a lot when you're up in games, and then in the last couple minutes of the third period, or I mean the BC game, it was like the second or whatever. But uh, like overall in the season, there's been a lot of times in the last couple minutes of the third, I think we get a little sloppy. And it's also hard to like we have a goalie who was just run into the ground. Like we didn't have any other options. It was just a bit of an unfortunate way to start the season with Aries getting hurt. So I think that has like a lot to do with it too. I mean, we can be a lot cleaner on the D side of things, but it also doesn't help that we have Gorski trying to stand on her head every game. But you can only play so many games in a row before you start falling apart a little bit, like physically. So we definitely could have helped her out a little bit more on the back end. But I think that's why our coaches are putting such an emphasis and a focus on details, and everything that we're doing is leading into goal scoring, because that's something that we believe we could do a lot better. Like we have chances, but we don't finish our chances. We can be all over a team and we can be absolutely trapping them in the ozone, but we don't finish. So I
Yeah.
think that's something we're definitely going to take into next year, and we're also going to take the feeling of losing those games by one or being up and then blowing a lead. Like those were probably some of the worst times in the locker room after. Like we know we played well, we just couldn't finish.
Yeah.
So I think that's something we're definitely going to take into next year, and our coaches as well. Like we still talk about it now, um, just to try to limit those games and start scoring some more goals and finishing our chances. So
Yeah, absolutely. And for yourself, one thing we did talk about was last time you were on the podcast was the difference between the ECAC and Hockey East. And you were saying how the physicality and skill level is a little bit different in both conferences. I guess
yeah,
now playing every team, uh, is that still true? And what was like something else you noticed about Hockey East versus the ECAC?
I I used to think that Hockey East was like top tier. Not Hockey East, sorry, ECAC. I used to think ECAC was like top tier, and then I came here like in Hockey East, and I think the same way as I did in the last podcast. I think that it's a lot faster and a lot more skilled. Like I think, there, don't get me wrong, there are some very, very fast and very, very skilled teams in ECAC. Um, but I feel like in Hockey East, it's a very, like, I think every team is fast and every team is skilled. And I think it's a little bit more, um, it's a little more steady,
Yeah.
uh, steady in this league. Like every single team you hit, like every single team you play is going to be fast and they're going to be skilled. Um, but yeah, I think that Hockey East is a bit of a better loop almost, just because you see the type of players, like great players come out of all conferences, but I think that a lot of great hockey players come out of Hockey East, and that's something that I didn't see last year because I wasn't in it, right? So now I have a perspective on both of them, and I think that Hockey East is an incredible conference to be playing in against some amazing hockey players.
Do you think your perspective on the ECAC would be different if you played every single team except for the three teams you played your freshman year?
That is a very valid point, actually. I think it would be. I think it would probably be a little bit different. I think I'd probably think that it was along the same lines as Hockey East.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, that'd probably be it.
I will say I think Hockey East is very underrated because 5 ECAC teams made the tournament and only one Hockey East team got in.
Yeah,
And
that's surprising.
I honestly feel like at least two teams from Hockey East could have made the tournament. I just feel like people just kind of overlook it a lot, at least nationally. Because like
Yeah,
I guess an example I'll give was I thought UConn and Vermont were two very solid teams, and I
yeah,
think you could have made the case that one of those teams could have made the tournament this year. So
yeah. Those were actually the two teams I was just gonna say. Like they went far in Hockey East playoffs. I was honestly not only was I the only one shocked, like my apartment was shocked, my coaches were shocked. Like it was kind of like one of those moments like you have teams that are ranked, you have teams that are doing really, really well. Like BC, for example, like they've gone to the tournament before too. And it's kind of like I feel like they should even it out a little bit more
mhm.
almost. Like I don't know, it just seems a little weird they only have one Hockey East team and there's five ECAC teams. And it's kind of like I feel like if you were to put UConn against Yale or QPAC or any of those teams, like they would be very good games.
Mhm.
I think
Yeah,
so.
and I think I don't know. It's just I know they go with the pairwise, but I feel like there's times where you shouldn't just use the mathematical formula to decide the tournament. I think there should be like a discussion about it. But
Yeah,
I don't know. I feel like there's like a way you should do it without like them being biases in it as well.
yeah,
I guess it's like a, I guess like I don't know. I feel like there's like a better way they can select the tournament. This is just my personal opinion, and obviously I'm a hockeyist guy, so people will say I'm biased, but that's
yeah,
just my opinion. But I feel like there could be a better way because I like how they expanded the tournament this year to 11 teams. I think that's huge for women's hockey.
yeah,
I
for
just feel
sure.
like there's like maybe they can change the pairwise in the way to get more teams from other conferences in the
Yeah,
tournament. I'm not sure how it works. This is way above my pay grade, but I feel like it did surprise me. I feel like not a lot of people were talking about it. So,
no, no, I agree with that 100%.
did you
So
like 3-on-3 overtime? I think it's awesome. People hate on it, and I'm like, why? Like, it's so much better to watch as a fan because I hate
yeah,
ties, and I also think 4-on-4 could be super boring because coaches make no offense, make it boring with all the icings and structures like they put in
yeah.
place for it. That's why I was happy they got rid of the player. Opens up the game more and more
Yeah,
mistakes
it
happen.
definitely.
And as a fan, it's fun to watch.
Yeah, I can see how it's fun to watch because I like watching 3-on-3 as well. As a player, I love it and I hate it all at the same time. Like once you do get the puck, it's great. You have so many options. You have so much time to make sure that you make the right play. It's definitely very stressful though because once the other team gets possession, defense all the way, and it's like you have to be so strict with your defense because you make one tiny mistake, you don't move your feet fast enough by a second, and someone's gone and they got the puck, and next thing you know, it's them and the goalie. Um, so yeah, that's my take on 3-on-3. It's fun when you have the puck, and it's not fun when you don't have the puck.
Yeah,
So
well, I'm very excited to see your team for next year. I know with the new additions coming in, it feels like you're still returning a lot of key players as well. So
yeah,
it should be a better squad, at least I think. So I'm looking forward to see the work that your team put in the offseason and how it's going to go. I think it's going to be a lot of fun, and then hopefully some good non-conference opponents as well that I'm looking forward to seeing. So
yeah,
big things on the rise for Merrimack women's hockey. Just
I
Merrimack
think
hockey,
there
I feel
too.
like both teams did very well this year.
Yeah, I'm honestly, I'm really, really looking forward to next season. I think this season was good for our
Mhm.
program, and I think next season is going to be really good for this
Yeah,
program.
absolutely.
And I'm very excited. And our men's team did great. It pretty unfortunate the way that they ended their season. I don't think anyone was really expecting them to end that way.
Hmm.
Especially going from third and then within one game dropping all the way down to six. Yeah, that was tough for them. But you know what they did? They had a great season overall. It's kind of like a bittersweet feeling. Like probably one of their better to best seasons that they've had in program history. But you got to be proud of yourself for that. But at the same time, it stings knowing that you did that well and you put in that much work and you got that far just
Hmm.
to have a bit of a crappy ending and nothing you can do about it now. But no,
Yeah.
it was a good run for them.
I will say, hopefully Lawler can be packed for one of your games. That's got to be the goal for next year. I don't know how that happens, but maybe I don't
Yeah.
know. I think you should campaign a little bit. I don't know. I don't know how that
Yeah.
works, but
No, yeah.
if you're people listening to this podcast, catch a women's hockey game next year and pack a Lawler game. I don't know how
Yeah.
they can campaign that. Maybe against like BC, BU, Northeastern.
Yeah.
Like I feel like that would be huge to have your team have that crowd advantage. I think you could potentially pull off like an upset against one of those Boston schools that hasn't happened
Yeah.
in program history.
You know what? I think BC and BU, I think that's very doable for next year. I mean,
Hmm.
we got BU in shootout. So
Exactly. And you almost beat BC like you had the lead. So I'm just saying like it's definitely I don't want to keep bringing it up, but I'm just
no,
saying
I
it's
know.
definitely possible that I feel like the crowd noise could help you out a little bit, I guess is what I'm trying to
Yeah. I think crowd atmosphere would totally amp us up for those last couple of minutes, try to get those goals in. Yeah, that BC game, that 3-2 game, that one stung because we were up and we were doing really well.
Hmm.
Um, what can you do? Season's done. On to the next.
Absolutely. Well, do you want to get in the non-hockey segment then?
For sure.
So this non-hockey segment's a little bit different because I found this like very random like I was digging a few days ago. I actually did find some questions for the non-hockey segment. So hopefully there you would like them. I'm curious to hear your perspective on it. So
Okay.
first one is what is the most overrated holiday and what is the most underrated holiday? That's one I ask a lot of people now. So I guess
Oh
I
my
don't think I
God.
asked you this last time, so I'll ask you
No,
now.
you didn't. That's tough.
If you need me to give you my answers, feel free to let me know.
Yeah, give me. I want to feel it out.
So
What's it?
first answer for overrated, I would say is Valentine's Day or Halloween. Just
Yeah,
because with Halloween, I'm not really big on dressing up, and I also can't go trick or treating anymore since I'm too old for it. So there's really like no reason for me to celebrate Halloween. Just I feel like everyone like is forcing me to celebrate a holiday that I don't really want to celebrate, to be honest with you. So that's why I'm not a big Halloween fan. I think it's a bit overrated. Like I like carving pumpkins, but
yeah,
people like overhype it in my opinion too much. And some people like go way over the top for Halloween. I'm like, it's a little too much for me. I don't want to sound like a Debbie Downer, but that's just kind of my opinion on that. And then
yeah.
Valentine's Day. Oh my gosh, this holiday pisses me off every
I
single
agree with
year.
that.
And
I
the
agree.
reason why is it's because I don't mind if you do something for your significant other on Valentine's Day, go for it.
Yeah,
But these people, Emily, they go, it's so too much. I'm like, I
I
don't
know.
care enough. I'm like, I'm
I
sorry.
know.
I don't know. Like I feel like you should be doing something every day. That's just my opinion. But
Yeah.
I think people like do too much for, so it kind of bothers me a little bit. So that's what I would say for my two overrated ones, and then my underrated one. I don't know if you guys celebrate do this for Canada Day, but 4th of July here in the US is super underrated. Love the holiday just because it's good summertime vibes, barbecue, fireworks, hanging out
Yeah.
with your friends. Like, it's just a great holiday. Makes you proud to be American. So I don't know if
Mhm.
Canada Day is the same thing or not, but you can,
Yeah,
I guess,
Canada is
answer
a
that.
big thing. Yeah, I think my overrated holiday, I'm totally gonna agree with you on the whole Valentine's Day thing. Way too much. Way too much. Again, you want to do something for your significant other, do it by all
Mhm.
means. Go for it. Um, yeah, I would agree with that one. I think my underrated holiday would be Easter, considering it is Easter weekend. I don't know. I feel like, everyone gets like Easter break, but it's not, I don't know. I feel like it's not talked about a ton. Like me
Yeah.
personally, I love Easter and I'm not going home for it this year because I'm literally going home for summer in 3 weeks. So, like, what's the point?
Yeah.
Um, but no, like every year we do a huge like I guess dinner, a big dinner at my grandparents or my aunt's house. My whole mom's side of the family goes, and just one of those times a year like you get to see everybody, like all my cousins and aunts and uncles and stuff. So I'd say Easter is pretty underrated.
Yeah, no, I agree with you on that. But there was one time, Emily, this girl from my high school posted
Yeah.
50 stories of her boyfriend on Instagram, and that was like, oh my gosh, like you're way too obsessed with this guy if that's
No,
you're posting
exactly.
50 stories. That's why I'm like, that's why those people on Valentine's Day annoy the crap out of me.
Yes. See, that's my other thing too. Like if you want to post like, a Snapchat story or like an Instagram story, like, oh look, I got her flowers and like happy Valentine's Day. Like a little appreciation. Like for sure. Okay. I don't need to look at your Instagram and swipe through 10 pictures and 6 stories. Like we get it. You're dating. You did something nice. Love that you did that.
Hmm.
I didn't need to watch it.
Yeah, and especially since these people were dating for like 2 months, I was like,
Oh, see, that's the worst.
I'm like, I feel like that relationship isn't gonna last, and I was correct on that. So
Yeah.
I would like to
There
point
you
that out.
go.
So,
There you
so worst visiting locker rooms in college hockey.
Oh, hands down, Maine.
I guess I'm not surprised about it since it's a 6 hour bus ride. So
Not even that it's a 6 hour bus ride. That's like whatever. The fact that we have to get dressed upstairs and then have to walk through the stands and literally climb down the bench. And then when you're done a period, our coaches sit there and we're all like throwing skate guards on each other and pulling each other up off the bench back into the stands to then walk up and walk in and around. I got a text from my mom after the first game at Maine. She goes, "Why are you walking through the stands?" I was like, "Because our locker room's upstairs."
yeah, so well, hopefully the locker rooms will improve a little bit because UConn's getting a new rink, so that should be nice. And then I don't know. I feel like Vermont. I've seen the photos from Vermont's visiting rink. It just benches. It doesn't seem that like. It seems like it would be a tight locker room to squeeze in. But I do have experience in the Holy Cross visiting locker room because I play juniors there, and
Oh,
that one sucks. So
yeah, you see, there's definitely other visiting locker rooms in Hockey East that are worse than Maine's. Like
just you don't have to
structure
climb up the
wise,
stairs, though. That's
that's
the
the
thing.
one thing.
Yeah,
Yeah, exactly. I don't have to climb through the stands. Um, Holy Cross, they're definitely small, but you have a stall and like you put all your stuff up in the stall and you throw your bag in the corner. So like it's really not that bad. The locker rooms that we were in at Vermont, they were big and they
yeah.
had shelves up top. Like there were no stalls or anything, but it was big and there were shelves, so those were nice. Yukon, like you just have to split a room, like you get 2 rooms. But
That's
that's
gonna
not
change next
bad.
year, hopefully.
Yeah. I'm actually really excited about their new rink. But their locker rooms aren't too bad. I'm trying to think of who else.
BEC, I heard, has good locker rooms. So
I was just gonna say that BC has really big locker rooms. I liked BC's, and we have stalls at BC.
I
I
don't know
love.
what BU is like because I've seen the Gannis's, but obviously you don't play there, so it's probably a little bit different.
Uh, why can I not picture BU's locker room right now? I don't think they're terrible though. No, they're small,
No,
very small. Actually, I remember now. They're very small.
so well, another non-hockey question is college hockey talk this year did pregame outfits of the week, and one week your team was featured on it. So I have to ask you, how cool was that, and why does Danny Castino have great style?
Yeah, it was actually kind of cool going through. I really wasn't expecting any of us to be on there because I mean we get dressed nice enough to go to the rink, but it's
Mhm.
not like a huge thing on our team. Um, yeah, Danny.
Because you
I
said Kennedy has the best style on the team, and I definitely agree. She has great style, but I feel like no one's talking about how great Danny's outfit was that night. So that's why I put it in the first slide, just because I was like, man, Oster really like undersold me on Danny. I thought she had a great style.
to be totally honest, I don't pay a ton of attention to
Hmm.
what everyone's wearing when we walk into the rink, just because, like, especially when we're playing at home, we all live in different spots, and like we don't all live in the same apartment, and we don't all live in the apartment. Some live on campus and whatever. So we all come into the rink at different times. So by the time we get into the rink,
Hmm.
either I'm taping my stick or something, or by the time I get in, someone else, like, everyone's changed already. Um, so yeah, it was kind of cool swiping through and seeing Danny in there, but no, I I don't
Kennedy
really,
made it too, so I will like to say that. So,
yeah, there you go. But no, I don't tend to pay too much attention to what everyone's wearing to the rink.
so next question is: have you ever met anyone famous?
Madison Beer.
You met her before?
I've met her before. It was at a music festival, Veld, in Toronto, and it was when one of her first songs had just come out. And I
Hmm.
remember seeing her up on stage singing her new song with, like, some EDM stuff going on in the back. And then, like, 30 minutes later, I looked beside me and I was like, oh my God, Madison Beer is standing literally right beside me. And I was like, oh my God, hi. And she came and gave me a hug, and I got a picture with her and stuff. And
That's
she
awesome.
had two huge bodyguards next to her. She was in a huge crowd of people. So
Was she
yeah,
nice?
super nice.
That's good.
Yeah,
That's good. She's
yeah.
not Canadian, right? I assume.
I think so.
So I only know her from like some YouTube videos that I've seen like on my like feed, but that's about it. So I
Yeah,
didn't know she did any music.
yeah. No, she has music, but it was funny though, just like so random
Yeah,
looking at me. And this is when she wasn't like overly popular. Like now, I feel like she's way more famous than she was before.
yeah.
But it's just funny now. I can be like, huh, I met Madison Beer.
I think I haven't really met anyone famous to be honest with you. I met Brad Marchand one time, so I guess I don't know if that counts. But I also met Tom DeLonge, or I didn't meet him, but I walked by him. So I guess that's like my closest celebrity encounter. He's like the
Yeah.
guitarist for, or was the guitarist of Blink 182. He sang all
Yeah.
the small things. That's like one of the more popular songs. So
What was I gonna say? Mitch Marner. His cottage is like 4 cottages over from mine.
no, that's cool.
And so I see him all day, every weekend, ripping around on his wakeboard boat, wake surfing. I hear his music. He proposed to his girlfriend at the cottage, and I actually saw it because we were boating by, and I
That's
saw
cool.
him and everyone out on the dock, and then I saw the pictures later, and I was like, oh my God, I
Hmm.
just saw him.
Yeah, I haven't. I actually had one Leaf on the podcast. That's the only like Alex Steves. He had a few games this year.
Really?
Second ever college hockey talk guest, and he played with the Leafs. So that's the only Maple Leaf I know. Obviously Matthews. Matthews is an absolute stud.
Yeah, good
So
old Matthews. One of
his
my one of my my friends here on the men's team, he grew up with Austin Matthews, and they text all the time and talk all the time, and
that's gotta be cool.
yeah, it actually is pretty cool. I like saw him Snapchat him once. I'm like, you just casually are Snapchatting Austin Matthews right now. Cool.
Do you think he'll come to a Warriors hockey game? You gotta bring him to a women's game and put him in. He didn't play college hockey, so it's not like he has any affiliation or anything.
Yeah, no. I feel like that's a bit of a stretch. That would be awesome.
Where's the
Uh,
Oosterveld 28? You would be
uh,
going viral at that point.
Imagine. That'd be all time. I think I
No more
quit.
college hockey talk appearances after that happens. They'll be like, nope,
Yeah,
me and Matt learn we're doing other things now.
yeah, exactly.
So no, that's probably the most famous person on Brad Marchand. He's super nice though. Everyone like hates
Really?
on him, but like he's super funny, nice guy. So
Yeah, I
um
feel like he's one of those guys. He's a bit of an ass on the ice,
oh,
but
I was an asshole on the ice too.
yeah,
You have to play like that. You gotta play with an edge.
yeah.
So especially if
I
you're
feel
very
like
on the smaller
yeah,
side like I am too.
no, exactly. I feel like that's me too. Like, I don't mean to be an asshole when I'm on the ice, but like, I don't know, I'm playing. I'm like in the game, but
Hmm.
afterwards, I'm super nice.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
if you could have any superpower, which one would you choose?
Oh, this is a good one. I don't think I'd be. I don't think I'd be able to decide. I think I would want to do like like teleport. I want to be able to teleport. I think that's the word. That's the word,
Yeah.
right? Okay, making sure. Because I feel like that would make traveling so much easier. Or like maybe being able to be like invisible sometimes.
I think that's people if you like you have to use invisibility for the right reasons because I always maybe this is just me, but every time someone says I want to be invisible, I feel like they're gonna use it for like something like creepy. So that's why I'd
Yeah.
never say invisibility.
See, it definitely wouldn't be something creepy. Just like I don't know, maybe sometimes just like I want to like go somewhere and don't want to like talk
Yeah.
to people or
Or you don't
like
want to pay for a ticket to go somewhere too.
yeah, you know. I feel like reading people's mind would be cool, but then also at the same time, I
You
feel
would
like I
find out some stuff that you don't want to
exactly. I
know.
feel like I would just like get my feelings hurt and then totally regret being able to read people's minds.
Yeah. I don't
So
know. My mind would have nothing in it. It'll be boring. It'll just be like hockey stuff, and that's about it. So that's all
yeah.
just what I'm thinking of. It's bad.
Yeah.
Like I don't know if you might have done this, but I'll be sitting in class sometimes. I'm just thinking about like me on
Mm,
the ice, like doing some insane stuff. Like I think that would be cool. So and just like imagining like in a game. Like I do that all the time.
yeah. I can't say that I do that, but I feel like there's definitely sometimes I just sit there and like think about like a cool play I did or
Yeah.
something. Or there's been a couple really boring classes here. Like I was sitting in philosophy first semester, brutal class,
Hmm.
brutal class. Um, but I would have my iPad and my laptop out and I would sit there and I would literally just watch my shifts because I'm like, I got nothing else to do. I'd be online shopping the first half and then I'd be like, hey, this is getting ridiculous. And I would literally just watch the game over again.
Yeah. And then last non-hockey question is, what is your most embarrassing moment? If you want me to answer mine while you think of it, go for it, I guess. Or me to answer it, I guess.
Okay.
So,
Um, yeah, what's yours? I want to hear this.
so I guess there's two. One is kind of weird. So basically, like the way that so my friend invited me to like their graduation party a few years ago, and the way the GPS told me to go, I thought I found the house because there was another grad party going on in their neighborhood. So
Yeah.
like I don't know how to describe it. The street was like an L shaped. So like when you're in one spot, the GPS thought like you're at that spot, but it was really down the road.
Yeah.
I was like, I walk in, I'm like, I don't remember this being their house, but whatever. I walk into this grad party in the backyard. I'm like looking around, like I don't know anybody here. Like this makes no sense at all. And then like I'm like I call this person. I'm like, yo, like, is this your house? Like I have no clue. And like, no, we're like down the street. And like I was like, oh, so I walked into the wrong grad party one time, and everyone just looked at me. I was like, who the hell is this guy? So
Oh God, that's horrible. I'm I've definitely done a lot of embarrassing, like very embarrassing things to the point where I've done so many, I like can't think of one. Like I'm about to call my roommate in here and be like, what is something embarrassing that I did?
so I don't know. For me, like for hockey wise, I fell on the bench one time because the goalie forgot to close it during practice. So that was kind of a tough moment for yours truly. So
Okay, I just texted one of my roommates to come in here to help me think of an embarrassing moment. Oh my God. I gotta think. Oh, she's coming. Okers, you're on the podcast. I need your help.
Okay, hold on.
What? What's an embarrassing moment of mine?
Embarrassing moment of yours. Oh, can I get it?
Yes, you can come in.
Emily decides that occasionally, every now and then, she will trip herself into the boards
Oh, crap.
to the point where we all think her neck or back is broken and we're scared. But coaches always say that the boards got more hurt than her.
Yeah. Oh, that's a good one. I forgot about that. I couldn't think. I couldn't say a lot of embarrassing moments. That is
There's quite
very
a few,
true.
though.
Yeah. I was skating really fast and I like toe picked or something and like actually thought I died for a second.
We all
That
did
one,
too.
that one was kind of embarrassing. Not to mention a couple of the men's players saw it and asked me about it after, and I was like, I don't really want to talk about it.
yeah. Well, thank you for joining the podcast, Madison. It's nice meeting you.
Yes, nice to meet you too.
Okay, I'll be
Wow. Second guest appearance on the College Hockey Talk. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So shout out to
Yeah.
her for that. So but no, that's I think that's a pretty good answer. So I feel like you're doing less embarrassing moments, at least from what I've seen you play. So I feel like you're embarrassing other people with some of the goals you've scored this year. So
Oh, I wouldn't go that far, but thank you.
so But I would like to add, since it's like, I guess, do you have anything else to add to the podcast? We've done shout outs for the past 2 episodes. So I don't know if you might have forgotten someone in the past 2 episodes, but if you have, feel free to shout them out. Or if you just want to add new people to the roster.
Shout out to my roommate, Allie Qualley. Love that
Nice.
girl with her unmade bed in the back. Yeah.
It's nice. And do you have anything else you want to add to the podcast? The floor is yours. If you want to talk about
Honestly,
anything, feel free to talk about it, like anything, except for
um,
like politics. I won't allow that.
oh, I won't either. No, it just bores me. I just want to say thank you for having me on for the third time. I feel very special. But no, I love what you're doing, and I'm really looking forward to everything that you have coming in the future.
Yep, this will probably be my last ever interview with College Hockey Talk. But don't worry, don't worry. College Hockey Talk won't be going away. I just will be leaving the platform. But I'm starting something really cool with one of my good friends, and I'm excited to share it with you guys when it's finally done. We're still in the beginning processes of it, but it's gonna be a lot of fun. And Emily will be seeing a lot more of me, so she won't have to worry about
No.
me leaving anytime soon. But thank you everyone for listening to this podcast, for following along. It truly means a lot to myself. I couldn't believe how many people followed this thing after I started it almost 2 years ago. So it's pretty crazy how just a simple idea turned into something like this. And I'm excited for the future of this podcast with a new host and all that stuff. So it should be a lot of fun. But thank you everyone for the support that I've gotten. It truly means a lot to me. So I just want to say that thank you publicly, I guess. So thank you.
Awesome.
Well, thank you again.